Well, hello there. Welcome to the stream. So I'm getting a set up. Dark Space has asked, is this for a module you have yet to release or is this on the Asset Store? Well, let me tell you. If we go to Infinity PBR, I need to remove this headline. Click See on Assets. Why? Because of the affiliate link. Duh. Then we can find the game modules. Here they are. And let me actually get that link, but with the affiliate. Oh, it'll post it here. And we'll post that there. This should update with the affiliate link automatically, which is nice, or it does not because I'm posting it. So delete that message. Delete that damn message. And we want the affiliate link because it's free money. And one of the best kinds of money is free money. Another kind of good money is lots of money. Oh, hello, Twisted Liver Studio. Is your liver twisted from all the cocktails you've consumed? All right, so Dark Space, it's part of game modules, which is on the store. It will be added once complete. Hold on, I have a lingering cough and my mute button's not working, so I have to be careful. My Stream Deck buttons have stopped working. I need to figure that out. All right, so there we go. That's some stuff, and stream is on. All right, so stream is on. That's good. You wish. I'm glad. Shout out Souls. You made the bot. The bot works, I think, when other people type a link, but when I type a link, I don't think it works. Like, it respects my links, which is nice of it, really. But that's what it seemed to happen. I didn't load up Unity yet. This is a Unity live stream, and I didn't load up Unity. Yesterday, I also accidentally replaced my background image on my desktop. I can't remember what it was before, and it was suddenly some really pixelated, like, semi-Catan-like card. And so I replaced it with this Earth, but I'm not sure I'm a fan of the Earth. That's taken out of context. I'm a very big fan of Earth. I'm not a fan necessarily of this picture of Earth. It's not as high resolution as I'd like, or maybe it is. I don't know. All right, here we go. Quests and dialogue. So this is what we've been doing. First quests, then comes dialogue, then comes a baby in a baby carriage. Should treat me like the rest, huh? This is very egalitarian of it. All right. So the quest turns out to be much more complicated than I thought it was going to be. My company logo in the background? Well, I don't really have a logo yet. I actually created some potential logos on Midjourney that some of them looked pretty cool. So maybe I'll get on that, but I don't actually have a logo. Yeah. So I've been writing down the quest details as I make the demo scenes here, because as I make the demo scenes, I modify how things operate and stuff, and there's actually a fair amount going on, so I've been using this as a sort of reminder for myself as what the hell, how it's all set up. We got our scripts over here, and the demo scene needs to be cleaned up because there's a lot going on. Currently, there are 3 demo quests, and I'm going to demonstrate those right now before we build a new one. And the whole goal of each quest is to showcase a different type of quest you might build. So the first one is simply walking through these blocks here, and now if you notice the which button is it? One of these buttons is supposed to lock the camera. There it is. If we open that, I can't open it. It's locked. Ooh, the treasure box is locked. But if I go through here, and I don't think you're going to hear the sound. Let me turn up the sound. Maybe you'll hear it through my microphone. Small click there. This turns on. Small click there. This turns on. Small. Oh, now the treasure box can be opened. There you go. So this is a quest that basically demonstrates multiple steps. And if we actually look at the quest, it's a group quest called Push the Buttons, and it's got multiple steps. So if we look at this quest, I can close these to minimize it here. we can see that there are 3 steps. Push the red button, push the green button, push the blue button. And all of these have basically one condition that the trigger happens, and it checks the blackboard, uses the blackboard for this. So when I walk into those zones, the blackboard value buttons blue turns true. And so the condition met if that value is true. So that's that. It's got a lot of options here, and that's why there's a demo scene very much required here, because there are a lot of options. The second test or demo is going to be add money. For this one, it's a quest that just says add at least 1 gold to your total. And so this one's demonstrating a quest that has a arbitrary start. So right now I've got 0 gold. I can add 15 gold, and now we have 15 gold up there, which is great. If I start this quest to add 100 gold, I'll clear out the console. I know the text is probably pretty small on your screen. Hopefully you can read it. It says saving the current value is 15 for condition add 100 gold from game quest add money. The true value is now 115. So basically I have 15. I need to add 100 more. And so it fired the event for this quest has started, and so on. So now if I turn in the quest, it says add money is not yet complete. That's a custom script made for the demo scene. A lot of the modules, as many of you may already know, do require some custom scripting to work with it, but it does all the heavy lifting for you. So now if I add 15 gold, I need to get to 115, still not complete. Still not complete. So now if I get to 120, you can see the set succeed quest step, but if we look at the actual quest, it's not yet complete because I haven't turned it in. Actually, I'll show this first. It's not set to auto succeed. If it was set to auto succeed, then it would have instantly succeeded because I've now done all of the steps required. But if we look at the demo data and we look at the group quests, where are the group quests? Group quests, party quests, right here. We have add money. And we can see that the quest step, add 100 gold, is succeeded, but the status of the quest itself is in progress. So when I click this turn in, if I've completed all the steps, it's going to mark the quest is complete. So let's click that button, and we see that turn to success. We got the notice here, quest complete, and now our quest is completed. Great. So we can add a lot more gold here, and then this is a demonstration of a quest that can be repeated. So now if we click that button again, we now have a quest, the same quest, added. It's also here, but it's now in progress. So we've succeeded one. It keeps track of these. You couldn't, at some point I'm going to have an option where you can move it to another list or something like that. So maybe you have a completed quest list, but the reality is you can just take this list and say, look at the ones that are succeeded, and those are the completed ones. Look at the ones that are failed. Those are also completed, but they're failures. So again, add 100 gold, but now the true value is 295 because we already had 195. So that's the second quest type. And the third quest type is don't get poisoned. This is an individual quest. All 4 of these players also have their own quests. So far, the quests have all been party quests. This is an individual quest that each one can get if I click this start don't get poisoned quest. The don't get poisoned quest is a neat one. All it requires you to do is not get poisoned within 3 in-game minutes, which takes about 9 seconds to do. So this is a quest that will subscribe to the blackboard. It auto succeeds or auto fails. The sequential steps doesn't matter. It's grayed out because there's only one step, so it doesn't matter if this is on or off. It's not hidden. It has an end time, and with that turned on, it means that the time I have an option for a time limit, 3 minutes. It takes about 9 seconds in game. And then on expirations, I've got some choices here. I can remove the quest, meaning it doesn't succeed, it doesn't fail, it just goes away, so it's now unavailable to the player. Or I can automatically succeed it or automatically fail it. Now, usually quest steps have this option of can revert, and sometimes that's a good thing. Like if you need to have 100 gold, and yay, you got it, so you succeed, but then you spent some of it, so now you can't turn it in because you've lost the gold, then can revert's important. But when a time limit expires and it succeeds or fails, all of the ones that are can revert will be marked automatically as can't revert, because we don't want a situation where it automatically succeeds and then one of the steps reverts to, not successful, and then the whole quest gets all convoluted. So in this one, all you have to do is not get poisoned. It doesn't have any success conditions. It only has one failure condition, which is has poison. And so this is another condition. We can go over quest conditions in a second because they're all right here, the scriptable objects. This has poison. It's called has poison. Description is just the poison conditions present in the conditions list. I could expose this to the player through UI, or I could use this just for myself to remind myself what the condition is. For this one, it's going to go to the Blackboard value, but we're going to use the object ID because at the beginning of the game, I don't necessarily know which character has this condition, this quest, and this quest condition. And this quest condition could be used as a success condition in another quest or anything like that. So instead, we're going to use the object ID of the object. The object ID is just going to be a unique ID. You can name that player 1, 2, 3 if you want, or you can do what I do and just use the GUID system to create a random string for every object so they all have their own ID. And just save that in your serialization so that it's saved throughout play sessions. And when we have that selected, I can't type in a topic, but I do have this option to show code examples. And apparently the code example isn't showing in this view. I'm not sure why. It does when we click over here. But the other thing is conditions. And I'm going to pass into the Blackboard at the beginning, at the start, the conditions list from each player. So each player has a list of conditions, each player has a list of stats, each player has an inventory, etc. I'm going to pass that value to the Blackboard, so anyone who asks for the ID of the object and conditions is going to be able to get that conditions list, which will give them access to all the current conditions that the player has. So in this case, the failure condition is that if that condition list has more than 0 poison conditions, then it fails. And so we can look at the code example down here. When we have that selected, it gives you a code example. If we have both of them selected, it gives you a slightly different code example. But in this case, all I'm doing at some point is passing to the Blackboard. This is creating the object ID. That's the code example for that. And then for the passing to the Blackboard update note, object ID, which is this string that gets created if it doesn't already exist, and conditions, and then the value goes there. In this case, it's going to be the conditions list value. So that's all that doing. So now, if we start this quest and wait 9 seconds, and I'm going to actually show it here so we can see the player quests. Players, we'll look at the first player. So we have their condition, and we have their quests here. So if I click this, we can see we have the don't get poisoned. It's in progress. This is going to, I believe it's going to automatically complete. We just have to wait 9 seconds. Succeeded. Great. So the quest succeeded and we're all set. That was all we had to do. Nothing. So in other words, once I add the quest just handled itself. That's what the quest modules does. Once you set up these things, most of the heavy lifting is handled for you in your game. Now, we can try this again. We can say don't get poisoned again. And this time we're going to get poisoned. So I'm going to get poisoned. Let's see what happens. I think I set this up. Get poisoned. Okay, giving player poison and quest complete. Okay, so we didn't. Before we do the new quest, I need to fix this. I guess I didn't set up the failure condition properly, or maybe not at all. Now that I think of it, it was late at night last night during a game dev group I was attending. Anyways, all right. So let's work on that. The idea is that the conditions list had poison. Get poisoned. There we go. So it shouldn't have succeeded because the condition list has poison. Now poison itself will automatically expire. There you go. It expired because that's the conditions module, and just like the other modules, they're fully autonomous or mostly autonomous once they're set up properly. So that's why it went away. But since I had it at some point, it should have failed. So let's figure out why the heck it didn't. All right, let's dig into Writer. And by the way, feel free to ask any questions and like and subscribe and have a good time. Happy to answer questions, even if they're not directly related to what we're working on right now. Is my window not wide enough? Make it a little wider. There we go. All right. Writer. Okay, so I've been writing myself, or everybody, a lot of tooltips. What do we got here? All right, so the quest step, or let's see. What am I looking for? I have to remember where it lives. So we have the game quest. Actually, let's go to the game quest list. Do we have the game quest list up here? We don't. let me do that. Go to file, game quest list. Okay, so the game quest list, this is basically the list of all quests. So quests is of type game quest list. And we call a tick on it. That's important. You have to call the tick on it. And actions are, we only do if in this quest is in progress. Otherwise, the job is done. So we do nothing. Then we check for expiration. So this is what we're looking for. Well, actually, we're not looking for check for expiration. So we know it expires and it succeeds when it expires. That test worked well. And if it doesn't expire, then we're going to do the quest step ticks. And the quest step ticks is where we actually do the actual stuff. Afterwards, once we're done with that, we do the check for success and check for failure. So if in this process the quest becomes successful or becomes a failure, this is going to check if we're auto succeeding or auto failing. It's just going to check to see if there's no steps left, then it completes. And similar for failure, well, we haven't done anything yet. That's part of the problem. So first, let's see if our step sets to failure. So let's just run the demo real quick. And we will press play and look at our player. We will look at their quests and their conditions. So we will start the quest, don't get poisoned. We see the step is in progress. We're going to get poisoned. We see poison up there. It's still in progress. So it's not being checked, essentially. That's all. It's not being checked. So what we're going to look for here, let me press pause or stop so we get out of there, is this quest step ticks. So this is going to be the ticks on every quest step. Hopefully that makes sense. This is, of course, something you generally don't have to look at unless you really want to dig into it. So if the quest is not sequential steps, then it's going to do the do quest step tick for all of them. Otherwise, it's going to do the next one in the path. Now there's only one here, and it's not marked sequential. I don't think. Don't get poisoned is not marked sequential. Yeah, it's not marked sequential. So it doesn't really matter. Either way, it's going to do the single quest step tick here. And so the temp status is the current status quest step tick. So we do the thing. And then if the do not continue if we're not sending events. So basically, the status can change here at this point, and we'll dig into that in a second. If the status changes, we might send an event. However, if the quest step is not sending quest events, and I think I need to add that right here. So that's something to add. Let me quickly make myself a note because I will forget. One thing I never forget is that I will forget. Where is it? Quest, object editor, and we're going to be looking for the quest step. Oh no, it is here. Send quest events. I was looking at the condition, not the step. So there is send quest event. I'm going to remove the time limit options. So let me remove that now. I moved the time limit options. I removed this from. I put it into the. Let me put the note up here. I would like to write myself notes. December 29, 2022, moved time limit to the quest itself, not the individual steps. And the reason why is if there's a limit for the individual step, then there's essentially a limit for the whole thing, because it's either all of the steps have to succeed. If one fails, then they all fail. The whole quest fails. So it's, pretty much if you fail because the time runs out, then you fail the quest. And if you succeed when time runs out, well, if there's other steps, then those have to succeed too. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so maybe I'll bring it back. I don't know. I'm not removing it entirely. I'm just removing it for now. Because I just can't see a use case yet, but I might bring it back. I do that from time to time. All right. So where were we? Quest. Send quest. Oh yeah. So if we are sending a quest event, if we're not, then we're just return. But otherwise, if the status changed, then we send a event with the new status and the quest step. That way, anyone who's subscribing to the event can hear that. So for instance, if your game makes a small audio sound every time a quest step is complete, or maybe a visual thing, or a UI, something like that, then it's just going to subscribe to the quest events. And every time a quest event comes in, it can determine whether or not it wants to do an action. That's all your script that you can code yourself. But this system will just send an event, fire it off, and if you're subscribed to it, you'll get it, and you can do with it what you want. But they're not. You don't have to have that set. So maybe there's some that you don't want sending off an event. All right, quest step tick. Let's look at that. All right, so we have our tick actions because there's tick and late tick, and let's see if it's not set up. Return basically the initial setups, and then owner equals the owner, just in case the owner has changed. Check for completion, success or failure. Check for completion. What is this doing? All right. If the status is not in progress and it can't revert, in other words, if it already succeeded or failed and it can't revert, then it's complete. So we return true. Otherwise, check for success. I always check for success first. That's one of the things. If you succeed and fail on the same turn, you will succeed. That's nice. Check for success first. And if so, return true. And check for success is also where it will mark the quest as succeeded if it has not already done so. If it has already said it succeeded, then it just returns true. If we have failed, it's going to be very similar. So let's check this out. If no condition have failed, return false. A single failure equals the entire step failed. So if no failure conditions, any failure conditions, condition met this. So if any of them have been met, then we failed. So if not any of them have been met, then we have not failed and we can return false. Otherwise, we do the same process. If the step is already failed, then we return true. Otherwise, we set failed, which sets it to failed. We do a check there again, I guess. But we do a notification, etc. And there we go. And then this is the force cannot revert. This is useful when the quest expires and it forces a failure. It's going to force the cannot revert if needed. All right, so that is interesting. Check for failure. So failure conditions, this seemed to not work. Failure conditions, any condition met in the failure conditions means it's a failure. But if none of them failed, so true or false. All right, condition met. So this is a quest condition thing, and let's look at our actual condition of poisoned. Or if we look at, whoa, what happened? If we look at our quest conditions here, has poison. This is a game condition list contains. So if I load up my file for game condition list contains, we'll find the condition met right here. So it's an override bool condition met blah blah blah, and then we do condition met when we pass in our game step and our object as game conditions list. So if we go back to our quest step, where are we passing in? We're passing in this, which is the quest step that we're on, and owner. The owner is the I have stats owner of the quest step. All right, and then this is getting that and the owner and making it that is the issue. All right, so we're trying to pass the object as a game condition list, but the object we're passing in is not a game condition list. So I believe that is the issue here. So let me just confirm my suspicions here and just briefly look at the script. There's a lot of notes for myself. I should probably go over these later. Yeah, I'm gonna have to clean all this up. But all right, so I'm passing an owner. Why am I passing an owner? It's okay to pass an owner. In fact, I think I need to pass an owner. So I need to pass an owner, but then on condition list contain, this is the issue here. So I think I need to expand this out and check to make sure that the object is what I think it is. So if not object dot is, right, let's see, if object is, I have conditions, then we continue. So if it's not is not, is that a thing? Is not I have conditions, return. And false. And I think this is a area for debug log. And we'll say object passed in object. We'll say object.name dot to does not implement I have conditions. This is required for this game condition to be met. All right, so that's an error. Basically, if this happens, if you pass in an object that doesn't I have conditions, is not an object that implements this, then that's a problem. Which is why we want to throw a debug log error. It shouldn't happen. It might happen if you forget or pass in the wrong object. Okay, once we do that, if it has conditions, then we know it has a condition list. And so we have to get from it a condition list. I don't know what that variable is going to be. So I know that for me, it's going to be object.conditions. But obviously, we don't know that at this point. So we're going to say var game condition list equals object.get game condition list. Is that a thing? Maybe. We'll see. I need to go to I have conditions. I don't think we have a thing. So this is a little bit of a puzzle here. You might have a list or multiple lists. You might have active conditions. You might have passive conditions. You might want different conditions. So what we need is a list of all the lists. So what we're actually going to call this is get all conditions. And we'll put that here, and we're going to say it's going to be a game condition, or a list of game condition. Get all conditions, and we don't need to pass anything in. Now we're going to need to set up this to have that. And this is going to be something I'm going to have to update folks on the conditions about. And we're going to do, this is your custom code. So if you have 3 different lists of conditions for whatever reason, then you would just bring them all together here. For this, I know there's only one, so I'm going to return conditions.list. And we'll put a note here. Note if you have more than one condition list on the object, then you'll need to create a new list that combines all of their values, or decide which list is the one that is needed by this method. So for instance, if I know there's only one active thing that I'm going to check, then I can just return that. And if there's other lists like, hey, a list of every condition you've ever had, then I'm not going to actively check that because those aren't active lists. So that's going to be up to you to decide. But if that happens, do we now get this? We don't get this. Unless we'd say if object, then we're going to say object equals object as I have conditions. Cannot convert source type to target type T. Things that make me go, Maybe I'm doing this wrong. Let me think about this. Right now we're trying to convert the object to a list. Basically, the object is passing, and I'm trying to get the conditions list from that. But maybe that's not the right way of going about, because the Blackboard value is going to have the list in it. So let me take a step back. Let's take a step back. Go back to the quest step. Failure conditions, any, so check for failure. Quest condition is going to look for this. Okay. Okay, yes. Let's take a step back. Step back for sure. Okay. So let's ignore this. We will, I'm going to copy it then undo because I can't remember what it looked like at the beginning. Just undo a whole bunch. All right, that's what it looked like before. I'm going to put a note for myself here with that code. And then we are going to say, okay, we're passing in, okay, we're passing in the quest step and the object. Okay, the object, and from the object we can get the object ID, I think. So condition met is down here. Blackboard is null. Try get the Blackboard from the note. All right, so I see. So you can pass in a list. I think I was trying to be smart. I think I was smart. I think I made this flexible so that you can pass in a list. The system will not pass in a list. The system's going to pass and use the Blackboard. But you could pass in a list directly if you wanted to use the condition in a different way. But here we go. If the list is null, I suppose that also means if it's not a game condition list, we should find out. Let's do a debug log here and debug.log. What are we going to say? List is list.name. Do we have name? Get display name? No. Is list.type. Get type. .toString. I think it's going to be that. I think we're going to get game condition list regardless, but maybe it isn't. If we see this with that it's a game condition list in our game automatic thing, then we know it's wrong. But okay, and then this says it's not going to be null. So let's just go here. Let's start, and we'll just see what happens. Oh, I got some bugs. Let me remove from IF conditions this requirement so that we get rid of some of those bugs. Not bugs, but errors. All right, we'll press play and we'll just see what happens because I think we're gonna get spammed actually. Oh, we're not getting spammed. Okay, so start the quest. Okay, and get poisoned. New condition is owner, and it's not even getting to that point. Why is it not getting to that point? That's a good question. So a couple things I'm going to do. I'm going to save this and create a new one where we actually can do more with it. And we're going to say it's going to be return that. But before that, we're going to do debug log, debug.log condition met logic, and we want to do similar down here. We're going to put that there. List is, or object is, object got type. And so we're going to get the type beforehand. And this should tell us that, hey, this is being called. And if it's not being called, well, then that's a problem. It's not being called. All right. Why is it not being called? Where it's supposed to be called? Check for failure. And we'll say debug.log. Checking for failure on step quest step dot. I guess this dot object name. Oh, just name, I guess. All right. Let's see if we get that. Now that should spam because every quest does that. So it should spam. It's not spamming. Why is it not spamming? Okay. If it's not spamming, where one usage here is check for completion. Check for completion. I guess it's okay to misspell things on this dot name. Wrong button, wrong character, wrong again. Right this time. All right. Come on. We are looking for spamming our debug logs. How's everybody doing today? I hope I had the week off, which was nice of the company to give us the week off, which has allowed me to do this every single day. Very nice. All right. Nope, that is not happening either. All right. Why isn't it checking for completion? Tick actions. Tick actions. Tick actions. All right. Debug.log. Tick actions and for this dot name. And let's just be a little proactive here. Tick happens on, which is all right. Tick actions happens with tick and late tick, and this tick happens with do quest step tick. So debug.log. Do quest step tick for quest step dot name. All right, come on. One of these should start spamming, right? All right. I'm surprised it's not spamming yet. This is a conundrum. Why isn't it doing the quest step tick? It really should be doing the quest step tick. All right, when does it do this? Quest step ticks. And we will say which quest it's for. Quest dot name. Quest step ticks happen during demo quest turn in. That's a custom way when you want to call it from your custom scripts. And then these are just when it receives a change and also tick actions. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. Tick actions happen if we're querying every frame. Are we not querying every frame? That could be it. Don't get poisoned. We are not querying every frame. All right, so two things. Let's confirm, and then we're going to do the version where it doesn't query every frame. Because you don't necessarily want to query every frame. Maybe you do, but maybe you don't. Let's see. All right. All right, still didn't fail, so that's something. But fire event, quest step ticks, don't get poisoned, do quest step tick for quest step. Tick actions, quest step, check for completion on set succeeded. Quest step, quest. Why is it succeeded? Let's find out. Let's find out. All right, we have our player data here. We're going to look at our quest. When we get the quest and we're going to try to fail it, it immediately went to succeeded though. Did you notice that? All right, let's do that once more. Yep, it instance succeeded. Don't get poisoned. Individual quests. So we do want it to auto succeed, but when it's I guess it's succeeding because it has no conditions. So it checks for success by saying, hey, does it have success conditions? And are there 0 left? So I think it needs to say if there's more than 0 conditions. If there's no success conditions, then the only way is through this process. So what we need to do is say down here, actually, let's just check. Complete steps is complete is steps left equals 0. Steps left is steps minus complete steps. Steps is the number of steps. Complete steps is the number of steps that have succeeded. All right, so it's not this, it's the steps itself. And the step is being succeeded for some reason. It's checking every frame, so it's going to check. Are we in? No, we need to check the quest step. We need to go to the tick, check for completion. So if it's check for success. All right, success conditions. If no success, that's why. So we're going to do a thing that says if there are no success conditions, then this cannot succeed. Generally, this is because you're handling it very manually, or it's a time limit quest that only succeeds when time expires. All right, so if success conditions.count count equals 0, then return false. All right, so that should stop it from automatically succeeding. Oh, I need to check check every frame. Okay, let me just restart it. Okay. Don't forget to like and subscribe. There's only 6 likes and 9 people watching, and that doesn't make me sad or mad, but I would appreciate a like. It would make me glad. All right, don't get poisoned. Let's look at, bring up the quest right here so we can see it. All right, it's in progress, in progress, in progress. It should succeed after the 3 seconds. This is what we just fixed. Oh, there's no reference. Let's check that out. Good. We are getting here. Okay, this is good. Progress. Checking. Okay, condition met logic object is a player. Good. So what we need to do is say, so if, So object is a player. Object is a player. Okay. We need to do this up there, I believe. I think we need to do... All right, we need to say if object is game condition list, then we will return condition met with that. Debug.log is list, and we're going to say object is game condition. So I'm just kind of want to confirm that this is doing what I think it is. All right, so why is this underlined? Merge cast, we can do this differently. Oh, interesting. If object is game condition, then say it's list, then condition met. Oh, interesting. So that casts it at the same time. Okay. That's cool. If it's not, then it is not a list. This means we need to get the list out of the object. And I'm going to put another one here. I have conditions. I want to see if it is. Object is I have conditions. I want to see if that comes out too. All right, so we're going to stop there and see what it says. I'm going to get the same null reference because I'm not actually changing any of the process that was giving that null reference. But what we want to see now is whether or not our things come out. Okay, so it's not a list, but is I have conditions. Perfect. Perfect. So now we're going to say if it's not I have conditions, then oh, I guess we don't have to do that. Let's see, because if it's I have conditions, then it definitely has conditions. That's the whole intent, or it's supposed to have conditions. If it's not, then maybe it's something else. But that doesn't mean we can't get from the Blackboard the condition list. And so what we really need to do, it's not list, so we need to get condition list from Blackboard. And we're going to pass in, I guess, object. We're going to say var found list equals that, and it's going to be game condition list. So let's specify that there. Whoops. And we will create this. Not navigate to. Can we not create method? And so this method is going to take in the object. Essentially, we're going to do this. If Blackboard equals null, then static reference Blackboard null and return default. And we're going to do if found list equals null, return. And we will throw an error here as well. False. And debug.log error. No game condition list was found. I don't know exactly how to fix it if that happens, but let's find out. All right. And get the Blackboard note. Blackboard try get topic subject, but what's the topic? Topic is not necessarily the topic we think it is. All right. var this topic equals topic, and var this subject equals subject. And then if what is topic object ID is topic, then this topic equals object dot, we can't, yeah, so I guess it does have to be this. And then this is going to be game condition list object and none of that. Okay. Expression is always null. Oh, I see, because it's checking it here. Okay, wait a minute. Oh, not that, as I have conditions. That's right. All right. Dot object. How do we do this? How do we get, the player has object ID. It's not required yet by any of these. Can these inherit from something else? Is that a thing? It might be. String object ID. Oh. Does that work? It does. Oh. Okay. And then if subject quest name quest step as subject, then this subject is going to be equal to, and you need to pass in the quest name here, quest step. Quest step is going to be quest step dot quest name quest step, and quest name quest step is with a dash in it. So quest, oh shoot, do we keep that? Name, it's supposed to have quest, the quest itself, so it's not just the step but also the quest, putting the two together just in case they intermingle with other quests. Okay, we'll fix that in a second. Fix this, add quest name. I want to get rid of this other stuff, so we'll do that. We can make this cleaner too. This is actually going to be if it's that, then we will do this or topic, and for this, that, if it is, then we will do this or subject, and then we can get rid of this and add that there. Okay. All right, so then try get this topic and this subject out note. If we can't, return default. And in this case, we won't send an error because it is possible that it just hasn't been sent to the Blackboard yet. And there are definite use cases where that you might already have the quest, but maybe for whatever reason the thing isn't yet populated to the Blackboard, and that's a fine outcome. It just means the step is not complete. All right, so now we're going to return note value conditions list. All right, get the Blackboard note, and then finally return that from the note. Is there? Yeah. All right. All right. So now we have the found list, and then we're going to send in the found list down here for that. So if it's a list, then we go to it. Otherwise, we try to find it, and if we find it, we get the list. And then down here, we know it's a list. This won't happen unless it's a list. Shouldn't happen if it's null. But if it is, then return, I guess. Return false. This shouldn't happen. This should not happen. In fact, I think yeah, and we're going to delete this. We don't need that now. This should never happen. It should always be populated. It should not be a situation where it's null. Although I don't know, should I make this public so people can check it out? I don't know. All right. List is that we can ignore that now, I believe. Return the value comparison. This should all work, and then it's going to return true or false. That should be sufficient. What's this? Oh. And now the other thing is to fix this. So let's just go through these errors because I think there's going to be other things that might need that object ID thing. Yeah. Flint missing members. Yeah, so we can just leave it blank. A lot of times it doesn't, if it's not actually being used, then it's not actually being used. And to do is also going to be to update I have stats and I have inventory. That to say I use game modules. So if you have stats, you also use game modules, and if you use game modules, then you also need things. So that's going to probably throw more errors here. Yep. So this is actually an interesting thing I've just learned. I learned a thing. I learned me a lesson. The lesson I learned is that I have, let's see, we need, I think I'm going to add it to all of these. Oh, interesting. I have UID. Oh. Okay, I don't think it has to be I have UID. So that one doesn't need it. Interesting. So I think I am going to add it to I have loot. I use game modules. And also I have inventory. I use game modules. I did not realize that these can inherit from others. And if it has dictionaries, it does not need it. If it just has dictionaries and nothing else, then it doesn't need it. But I think there's going to be value in these other things. So I'm just going to add it, and that's that. All right. So that's going to be a fairly big change for some folks' projects. When they update this, it's going to give some errors of that type that they need to implement those. But the object ID is basically, hey, this object has a unique ID. It's not quite like the UID. UID is a unique ID for scriptable object things like items and stats. But you can have multiple items in your game with a same unique ID. If you have two short swords, they each have the same unique ID, but they might each have different game IDs because the game ID should be assigned at runtime and then serialized, whereas the others are not. All right. So now we need to fix the thing, fix this part. Fix. Where is it? Fix this. All right, so the quest step needs to know its quest name. So let's open up quest step. This is the name, and that's determined over here in the thing, but we need to know what quest it's attached to, and it doesn't look like anywhere do we keep that. Name, quest step, description, can reverse. No, not a quest. Nope. Owner, nope. That's all right. So there's another thing to add. The reason why the owner is an I have stats and not I have quests is because some quests might have a reward that's an ongoing stat benefit. So, for instance, maybe you successfully saved the dog from the cave before it died, and because you saved the dog, you now have an increase in one of your stats. Maybe it's a hidden stat called favorability that goes up by 3 points because you did this good quest. So we can move the quest itself into some other category that means, successful quest or something like that. And then the I have stats, when it computes your stats, it will include all of those quests that you did successfully in the computation for those stat values. That way, a stat that you win or fail might have an impact on things like your stats. And that's, just another example of how the game modules makes things very automated once it's set up. You set it up and then it's automated. Now, if you fail the quest, you fail to save the dog, maybe that brings your favorability down, as an example. Maybe every some quests bring your evil level up and some quests bring your good level up, and maybe opposite, something like that. Who knows? But there's lots of ways of using the quest to run different systems and mechanics in your game, whatever your game wants. As I've said, I was talking to Chris from Llama. What's his Llama something, and he posts these really good tutorials. Llama Academy. I was talking to him and I was talking about how if you're doing a simple game, keep it simple. You don't need the game modules if you're doing a simple game where it's just, kill 10 things and you're done. Then that's simple. You don't need game modules. But, and actually I was watching a YouTube video from a popular YouTuber on Quest that was released this year on basically how to make a quest. And it was not really helpful. It was one of those things where, yes, technically it's a quest, but the quest was literally, if you hit this object, you solve the quest. So really what it was, did you hit the object? It wasn't really a quest. It wasn't a system of quests that have, all the things that people might have with quests. Colossal Cave. See, Colossal Cave by Ken and Roberta Williams, the classic game developers from Sierra Online back in the day. They used at least one of my assets in their game, and it's very heavily featured in the demo or the video that they've released, and it's very exciting. Anyways, excuse me, I didn't get to the mute button fast enough because my Stream Deck's not working. All right, so we need to know what the quest is. Yep, so it's going to be a private, I suppose. No, it's got to be public. Public quest. What quest this... quest this is part of. And we're going to add a new method here to say set quest public void set quest and take in a quest value, and it's going to be quest equals value. All right, and then from our quest object editor, we will do a pass to, because I need to update this for the existing one, so I can't just do it on the start now, but we'll do it on tick or update. It's going to be showed condition going all the way up to the very draw GUI show quest draw. Okay. Initial setup set editor with checks and updates. So we'll do a checks and updates. And in this one, we're going to add a for each var step in quest steps. It's not. Why isn't it? Am I looking in the wrong spot? Oh, this dot quest. There we go. This dot quest steps. Step dot set quest to this. All right. So I should only have to run this once on all of my quests to update that. So just by doing this should do that. And those are the only quests I've got, so we should be good now. Now I'm going to just comment this out because I don't actually want to do it all the time, although it doesn't really take much. But we're going to say add quest step, this quest step add, and whoops. Where's my constructor? Constructor, did I not mark it? Okay, quest step. Did I not make a constructor for it? I guess not. How do you make a constructor? What's the shortcut key for a constructor? Okay, I think that's it. Do I do it somewhere else? I do. The ensure one quest step. It always has to have at least one quest step. Quest is nothing without a quest step. Didn't you know? All right. All right, so we should be good there. Now, when we go back to this, we can add in, this subject is going to be not quest step name, but it's going to be quest step dot quest dot name, and we actually have to do this old thing. dash all right, quest step name, quest step, and we can confirm this because I wrote myself a note in the quest conditions. Again, I don't know why the codes aren't showing up here. I have to figure that out. But when we select this, it should say, yeah, quest name dash quest step with a space in the middle. That's important to note. Do I have that here too? I should update that as well. So we will make that, and let me do use quest name slash step, use quest. Oh, it's not there. It's in the drawer probably. Quest step draw, quest step drawer. Nope. It is going to be somewhere. Quest condition drawer? No. Where's the steps get drawn? Draw, show buttons, show quest, show other things, show quest, and as end time. Okay, show quest steps. We are looking for. Oh no, this is the condition drawer. Yeah. All right, my bad. Quest condition drawer editor. There we go. Find. Use quest name. Find. Use quest name. There we go. Knowing the which quest step maybe anything code example was pure true, or visit the online docs linked from that for more info. Important. The name will be quest name dash quest step name with a dash between the two. The dash has a space. Should the dash have a space or not? No space. No space. No space. All right. So if we go back here, let's remove that space. All right. All right, so now we should get that properly. And now maybe it will just work. That was a lot. Let's check out, make sure we have the visual on our quest, and in progress, get poisoned, and it failed. Oh boy. I got marked succeeded. Okay, so it did fail. That was good. The quest step was set to fail. That's a success so far. And all these debug logs are now spamming as we thought prior. So where were we earlier? Oh yes, earlier it was that it was only doing it because we had on the quest, don't get poisoned, we had query every frame. Now let's see what happens if we turn that off. I don't think it's going to work now by turning it off. Let's find out. It did not, because it's not querying it every frame. So it needs to listen to or rather, it needs to. I need to fire an event whenever I get poisoned. So I mean, there's two ways of doing it. If I have query every frame, then this is just going to check every frame. Did I succeed? Did I fail? And that's not an issue unless you have, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of quests all going on at once. Then it could become a little bit of an overhead. If it doesn't query every frame, then it's going to wait for a Blackboard note update. And that's only going to happen when the note is updated. So in that case, you can add that to your custom code. This is something that you'd have to do yourself if you want this to function, because by default, Blackboard notes aren't automatically updated. You have to do a thing to tell it update. This is a note that you set at the beginning of the game because it's just a not static, it's just a reference to a list, and that reference isn't going to change throughout the game. So you don't really have to update it, but if you want to send a notification that the content is updated, then you might want to do that. So what you could do is when we give the player the poison quest, not the poison quest, when we give the player poison, new condition is poison. Give condition. All right. Giving player index condition poison. Oh, yeah. And this is where we basically want to say, okay, now let's update the note. So I'm going to put it here. Important. This quest is not set to query every frame, which means it will not know that this has occurred unless we send a Blackboard note update with a notification. So let's do that. We're going to say var note equals new Blackboard note, and the topic is going to be our player.object ID, and the subject is going to be conditions, and the in quotes conditions, and the value is going to be player.conditions .list. No? Oh, that's right. Oh, okay, no, that's not right. Okay, I'm doing it wrong. So what we need blackboard.update note. All right, this is right. All right, so the note. So we've got two options. We can pass in the note itself if we have it. Otherwise, we're going to do this option. Oops. So we're going to pass in the player.object ID, and then the subject is going to be conditions, and then the value is going to be player.conditions.list, or just conditions. It's a game condition list. And we're going to say add if not found. We're going to say true and true and true. And that's all. I don't think we need game time now for this. I'm going to keep those there because to make sure we know we're adding if not found send notifications. They're true by default. So this is basically going to update that note with these values, this key, these two keys, with this game condition list, which already exists, and conditions is the right string there, which already exists. So it's really just updating it, but it's just going to send a notification about it then at that point. So I believe that means that if we turn this off, the quest should get the notification and then check itself. We'll find out by getting poisoned. And let's just look at our thing here. Get poisoned, and we see the progress in progress, and that, and it's failed. Perfect. So it only failed because it got that notification. And now we've got to fix that issue where it succeeds. Now, since that step failed, it should just, the whole thing should fail. One failure means the whole quest fails. Kind of harsh. It's getting cold. I need my heater on. Wonderful. All right, so since we are now succeeding when we should not succeed, you know, I told you we were supposed to make a new quest, and I ended up just fixing this one, but that's okay. That's the whole point, just to keep the ball rolling, and pretty soon this quest module will be so shiny and clean and new and covered in chrome, and you're just going to want to drive it home and park it in the front lawn so that everybody can see that you have a nice new quest system and they want to keep up with the Joneses. All right. What was I doing? Oh, yes. The step is now failing appropriately. However, the quest itself is not. So let's look at Game Quest. All right. Game Quest is now going to. It needs to get cleaned up. Tick actions. Check for expiration. Not that. This only happens if we're querying every frame. But we're not. But we've already discovered that. Okay. Check for failure. Ah. This is why. It's not actually checking for failure. So, if quest steps dot any x dot status equals status failed. The two equals, I always say is equal, like is equal. That's how I kind of think it in my head. If it so if none of them have failed, then return return. What's this all green for? Oh, I see. So instead of saying if not any, I can say if all have not. That makes more sense. That's more logical. If quest steps all have not failed, okay, then otherwise, what do we do? Oh, I already have a thing up there. Steps left. What's failed steps? Aha, so I can change that. Check for failure. So we're going to say if failed steps equals 0, then we return. If nothing has failed, then we haven't failed. And it's okay if there's no fail conditions, because then they'll never fail, so it's okay. You could always manually set a step to fail. That's an option in your game if for whatever reason you want to have debugging or something, or just some other mechanic that makes a thing fail. You can always set that manually, and then this will still operate. It should still operate at least. So why is this one gain a bool and this one not? I think we should have a bool here too. False. Just in case. I don't think we actually use it, but then so we're going to say return fail quest. I think it's because I never updated this yet, and so it's basically the same logic as here as the check for success, but it's check for failure. So if we haven't failed, then we return false, but if one has failed, then we fail the quest, and in failing the quest we say if it's already set to failed, then we return true. Otherwise, we're going to do the actions here. So set status to failed, remove quest operations, and this is basically unsubscribing from the blackboard, So if we do subscribe, we're going to unsubscribe here because we no longer care. We're not going to be... yeah, because this is the quest. Once a quest fails or succeeds, it can't be reverted. So quest steps can be reverted, but the quest itself cannot be reverted. Now, that is something you could manually do. Again, maybe I can have a method that says revert quest and undoes it all, but generally speaking, the intent is that once a quest succeeds or fails, that's that. It's going to give a reward. It's going to get moved around. The idea is that, nope, this is done. All right, so we unsubscribe from the Blackboard and then run these agnostic actions for steps. This is bookkeeping, basically. But for instance, it goes through all the conditions, and this is overridden. So Blackboard value number. I can show this real quick. Go to File, Blackboard value number. This one has a complete quest where it's saving the current value, or it can save the current value. And if it, this is like the gold one, it saved the value is, it saves it to the Blackboard. So it's not actually saving that itself, it's saving to the Blackboard. But if you have a lot of these quests, your Blackboard can get filled up, so it removes itself from the Blackboard, which is nice. And we can see that in practice. Might be good to demonstrate it in practice, and we can actually look at the Blackboard and see it in practice. So Blackboard, so we have these. These are the conditions. These are the object IDs of the party. The conditions add at launch, for the system to have. You can have tons of notes here, which is fine, but it can get clogged up. So if we start this quest, you can see add 100 gold. This is the quest object ID, and you can see that the value is 0 and 0. And then if we add our bunch of gold and succeed in the quest, turn that in, it removes it from the thing. But the party gold is here. So now let's add that again, and we get another add 100 gold. Now value int is 105. And again, if we add a bunch of gold and then turn it in, it disappears. So that kind of just keeps it a little cleaner. No big deal. Doesn't actually have to happen, but you're going to be serializing the Blackboard between saves, and so if it's just full of old stuff, then it just clogs everything. So best practice to remove it. All right. So we do the complete quest. We do that. Remove quest operations, and this is going to be fail quest. You can always fail the quest manually yourself. That's a thing you can call that will just set it to failure if it's not already there, and do all the operations. We haven't done the set status, just sets the status, and if it's changed, then we're going to send the event if we send events. If we don't send events, then it will just change it if it's not changed. And then remove quest operations, return true. We haven't done things like the rewards yet, so that's something I still need to add. But now this should work. All that to say, now this should work. Let's find out. All right, don't get poisoned. In progress, get poisoned, failed. Boom. Now, will this... It shouldn't automatically succeed with the time. Yeah, it's not even updating its time anymore. Yeah. Oh, nope, that was just the poison disappearing. So there you go. It worked. Round of applause for me. Thank you very much. It worked. So that's an important... What did we learn here? Well, we got the failure working. The failure wasn't working for... This is actually the first quest that of these three that could fail. The other two quests can't actually fail. So this was the first one that had failure conditions. I guess I just forgot I had not coded that yet. I don't know why this is not showing. It's very curious. It should. Obviously, it's coming down there. It's just not showing the code examples. Yeah, and let me just confirm. It shouldn't be an issue for it to auto-succeed, but let's just make sure it does. And we'll do that, but then we'll fail this one. The quest failed. And then we should see a couple succeed. Quest complete. Quest complete. There you go. All right. So that's that. I think the next step for me. Thanks. You were here the whole time. You get a reward. I think there should be a reward for people who stick it through the whole stream. Like YouTube needs to keep track of things like that. I was thinking actually. The Game Dev Show has these really cool YouTube. Jason's using the API. I guess YouTube has an API to get the comments from the chat, which is really neat. And I wonder if there's a way to sort of like have a system running in my computer when I'm streaming so that when people talk, it just keeps track of who engages. And then it can kind of tell me if somebody is a big engager or not and stuff. And then I could, there's not that many people who engage right now, but maybe later when I'm super, super popular, I would be able to know, oh yeah, this person's always around. I like them. Or this person has never engaged before. This is brand new. So I can say, welcome to the stream. Stuff like that. I don't know. There could be some interesting things. I imagine there might be some tools out there already for that. But I do love the use of the YouTube API in Unity stuff, and I'm trying to figure out how I can utilize that. Oh, you're working something to send me. That's very kind. It's not even my birthday. But I think it would be interesting to have a entire YouTube stream that's a game that the YouTube watchers can play. Hi, Corey. Thanks. Glad you're here. I didn't know you were here. Like, can you imagine, like, I don't know, a maze game or something where, or I don't know, some sort of like game where you have to make a decision every, say, 15 seconds, or maybe a betting game, and people can bet on the horses that every minute they go around, and you can bet, and it just keeps track of that. I think that would be fun, and you could play via the chat just by typing in commands via the chat. I'm pretty sure Jason's done the heavy lifting on figuring out the API stuff. It's really at that point just a matter of making sure it can run in a build, because I don't think it's great to run in the editor. I guess it could run in the editor, but it's probably better to run in a build. Although you can save stuff as scriptable objects, and then any data that collected during the play would work. But I think it would be more... Yeah, I think it would be more stable if it were a build rather than the editor. But... and then you just press play, and as long as you have a computer that's hooked up to the internet the entire time, you could run that stream for forever, as long as your internet and power doesn't drop. And then I suppose if you're keeping the track of the scores and stuff, if something does drop, you can always bring it right back up, and then people can keep their monies and stuff. And instead of monetizing it via ads, which would be very frustrating for players to suddenly get a 30-second ad in the middle of betting, or something, fake betting, not real money. You could show ads inside the stream itself, like on the playfield or something. I thought that would be really neat, so I'm also going to be looking into it just when I have free time, which of course is not very often, because I just think that would be really cool. Anyways, so my next step, I think I'm gonna take a moment to update this and make sure this details are more fleshed out with all the stuff that we've just learned, and then take a break and then go towards the next quest. The next quest is the one I wrote about in the description, which would yeah, you don't need Unity. I just like Unity because I know how to do stuff in it. The quest where you actually have to rescue the NPC before they die. And in that one, that's going to be a quest where, kind of similar to the Don't Get Poisoned, the failure condition happens if the NPC dies, but you don't know it failed until you see the NPC. So the essential bit, it's going to be somewhat similar to the Don't Get Poisoned. In fact, let me just set it up right now. We can kind of, while I'm talking about game modules, quest, create quest. And this is going to be a rescue NPC. And this is actually going to be a group quest. So I'm going to move it to my group quests. Oh, and I got one of these is super laggy because I think I'm doing the set dirty incorrectly. I don't know which one it is, but all right. So this one is going to subscribe to the Blackboard. It's not going to query, and it's not going to auto succeed. Auto fail, those don't matter. It's not going to be hidden. It does not have an end time. So that's the big difference is it sort of does, because if the NPC dies, you lose. So we have one quest step, and we're going to call this rescue. This is the laggy one, rescue NPC. I've got my notes to redo how I set this dirty. It cannot revert. Once they're dead, they're dead. You won't know that you failed until later. It will not send a quest event. So the failure condition. So let's create a condition. Quest conditions. Create game model quest condition. Blackboard value bool. This is going to be NPC is alive, and this is going to be name is going to be NPC is alive. Why isn't that should have yeah, so now it's updating. I don't know why it didn't update before, but this should always be the same as the actual object. Interesting. All right. So this is a condition that is true when the NPC is dead. When the NPC is no longer alive. All right. So the topic is going to be NPC and dead, and I guess we're going to use the object ID. Is that right? The NPC is going to have an object ID, and they're going to send information about themselves on whether they're alive or dead. When they die, they're going to send a note. Yeah, mud. That'd be fun. And condition is met if true. So this is not a good condition, it's a bad condition. But essentially, the NPC will have its own object ID. This Blackboard note, object ID dead, is not going to happen until they die. It's going to be some code that when they die, they're going to have their own time limit. When they die, they're going to be marked as dead, and they're not. That time limit is not going to start until you get the quest. So that was another thing. That's right, that I wanted to demonstrate. The Blackboard itself, or the quest. So the Blackboard has events and notes. The quest system itself has quest notes and quest events. And when this quest is started, it's going to send out an event. The NPC is going to be listening for that event, and when it gets it, that's when it's going to start its timer, basically. And then a certain amount of time will pass, and then it dies. That way, like, in a real game, if you don't even, maybe this is not how you set up this quest for your game, but if you don't get the quest until after they're dead, that's kind of pointless. Maybe there is some logic there. You can decide that yourself. But the idea is, oh, my dog's lost. Now, from that moment on, you've got 60 minutes to find the dog. Otherwise, the dog dies. So NPC is dead. So we go back to our group quest, rescue the NPC. The failure condition is going to be NPC is dead. So this is a cool thing too. You can do a search here to find only what you're looking for. NPC is dead. Add that to a failure condition. So you have failed if the NPC value here is true. Essentially, that's all it's saying. There's no way to succeed. We're not having a success metric here. This is something that we're going to set via code ourselves. So it doesn't automatically succeed. It doesn't automatically fail. We know that it's failed, or the system knows that it's failed, but it's not going to be marked as failed automatically. We have to check that with our code. So the idea will be once you get to the NPC, they will be alive or dead. If they're dead, they'll be lying on the floor, I guess. and then you click on them or you see them. Maybe, you can run this logic however you want. I think in the demo it's just going to be you go up to them within their vicinity. And if you get within a certain amount of distance from them, you notice that they're dead and you fail the quest. However, if you've gotten there in the right time, they haven't yet died, which means this step has not failed. And now we can run the quest and say, if it hasn't failed, then just complete the quest, succeed, and say you have succeeded. Ooh, we can go one step further. So it could auto succeed like that, where not auto succeed, but succeed when you find them alive. But to rescue them, sometimes you have to bring them back. And so what we can do is we can have a success condition. And so in our quest conditions, we can say another bool, I think, would be fine. And we can say NPC is rescued. And so similar to the other one, we're going to just say NPC is rescued. I don't know. That's a bug to fix. Topic's going to be the object ID and rescued. And the condition met is if true. So now these are agnostic to the NPC. So you could have this same condition on many, many, many different NPCs. The NPC will die if the timer runs out, and that will set this to true, and it will have failed. And then they will never be able to rescue them. So you'll never get the success. But if you walk up to the NPC and they're still alive, then we'll look at NPC is rescued as a success condition, and we'll run that through, and it's true if it's true. So that's that. Yeah. So that way you talk to them and it gets marked as true. And then again, you don't succeed in the quest until you go back to the person who lost the NPC, the owner of the dog, probably, and they say, thank you very much. And that's when you complete the quest, because you turn in that quest. So that's going to be a turn in quest as well. So it's just there to demonstrate some other concepts. It's going to be there to demonstrate some other concepts. And now that we did all what we just did today, that should actually be pretty easy to set up. Yeah, and that's that. And then I'll have to do the things about the rewards and other things, and then give a demonstration. I'm going to have to redo this whole scene because I want to also demonstrate how to use the UI, how to use the quests in UI. Obviously, everybody's going to display quests differently. Some quests are going to be hidden, some not. Some are going to be like, oh, show me all my completed quests, show me all my failed quests, show me all the quests. So there's going to be, basic demonstration of how to display quests and the quest steps and their status and the details. So all these descriptions could be internal, or you can put that in your project. So you could say, hey, the quest is rescue NPC. And this could actually be rescue the puppy. So in the UI, the quest is called Rescue the Puppy, and there's little hints. Oh, hello, Shadow Fantasy. How are you? We're doing great because I succeeded in my quest to update the quest system. It's not done yet, but I succeeded in the stuff I was doing. So Rescue the Puppy, the UI might say Rescue the Puppy, and then each step might be a quest step. Rescue NPC. Or we can say find the puppy alive. And that's find the puppy alive. Success. Okay, now you haven't completed the quest because you have to return. So we could say find the puppy. Oh, I spelled puppy wrong. And return to the owner for your reward. This is the laggy thing that I need to fix. I think the input worked. It's just super laggy. Dude, I use this. I don't even use Text Mesh Pro yet. For this purpose, because I'm trying to keep it simple. For my own project, Legend of the Stones, I also haven't used Text Mesh Pro yet because I just haven't gotten there yet. I need to fix this lagginess. All right, that's a to-do thing for me. Yeah. All right, so that's pretty much it for this stream. I think we did a lot of good stuff here, and I'm happy with it. I hope you're happy with it too. Got more to do tonight. I gotta say, having a week off has made me crazy productive at this stuff, and maybe I should quit my job. But can't do that yet. One day, maybe. One day, but not yet. All right, so thank you all for hanging out. I appreciate you and your time here and your chats, your brief chats with me. It's always fun. Come to the Discord. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the asset store. If you go to infinitypbr.com, let me bring this over, then you can see all the cool stuff, including a link to our scripting docs. This is where all the good stuff exists about the things. I just released a new video yesterday on the Blend Shapes Manager. I need to populate all the text on it, but I made this video basically showing how to use the Blend Shapes Manager and Blend Shapes Preset Manager. I still need to type out the stuff right here, but there's a lot of other stuff already typed out on how to use all the various systems. So a lot of stuff. Hopefully folks will find this helpful. If you do or don't, please let me know, because it does give me good feedback. And then the quest stuff I've been working on over here is down here, and so you know, you can see the work in progress essentially that we're doing on as I go along, and eventually this will be moved up here and part of the game modules, so you can see all the good stuff. There you go. Oops. Well, I guess I never updated this to say that it's here, because it's been here for a long time, over a year. All right. And then on InfinityPBR, click the join the Discord to join the Discord if you haven't already joined the Discord. And then see all assets. I appreciate when you buy stuff from the asset store, even if it's not my stuff. I'd always appreciate you clicking that link, because there is the affiliate ID, and 5% of whatever you buy comes back to InfinityPBR, which goes a long way, especially since today just signed a contract. Drum roll, please. I'm pretty sure that was pretty loud because the springs in this microphone stand shake, and I can hear them, but I think in the microphone it sounds really bassy. I just signed a contract to get a new character modeled, textured, and rigged, not animated. Their price for animations were way too high. That's based on a concept art pack, icons pack I made, the Cute Monsters one from Midjourney. So basically, I made Midjourney to make these cute monsters, and people liked them, and I like them, and I think they're cute. And someone said, "Are these going to be 3D models?" And I said, maybe they should be 3D models. And so I just signed a contract with a group of people to make the first one of those. And if it works out, then I'll make the other three, a group of 4 to start. And then I'll get those animated. That's gonna be the tricky part, because their prices for animation was $6,000 for basic animations. For the basic animations that I want nothing extra. Basically locomotions, some movement, some attacks, general things like a taunt, a got hit from all 4 directions, because I'm doing that now, a death, an idle break, etc. But that's it, and $6,000, and well, that's just too much money. I can't afford that. I'm sorry to say, but I do not have $6,000 lying around for animations. I have maybe $2,000 lying around for animations for one character, especially for a character that I don't think is going to be selling like hotcakes. It might take 2 or 3 years to make that kind of money back from selling them. So, but anyways, the point is, if you click that affiliate link, 5% of your purchases come back to me that go to companies like that to make new content for you to purchase and use and benefit from, and all that good stuff. All right, so I've been rambling for enough. I apparently need to hang out with my friends more, because I am very talkative today. So thank you for hanging out, and I will see you on the Discord. Bye.